There are many different ways that you can make a woman want you sexually. One of them is to be charming, which is the topic of this video. Another approach is to be a bad boy, which a lot of guys don't really resonate with, they don't really want to do, but it's another way to make a woman want you sexually. Another way is to be chill around women, but also be able to be assertive and make a move. And finally, another example is to be a funny guy, right? To use some humor and make the woman laugh. Any of those approaches are going to create sexual sparks inside of the woman and make her want you sexually. But how about being charming? If you imagine yourself being charming to a woman, what do you imagine yourself doing? Right? For most guys, what they're going to imagine themselves doing is being nice to her, being a gentleman. But that's not what charming is. To be charming, you behave in a sexually attractive way and treat the woman nicely. So it's not just about treating a woman nicely. Without adding in any behavior that is going to make her feel sexually attracted, the woman just sees the guy's nice behavior as nice. But when he's behaving in a way that makes her feel sexually attracted, and he's treating her nicely, or doing anything gentlemanly, or giving her a compliment, she sees him as charming. And that's sexually attractive and arousing to women. And it's an approach that guys can use to get laid or get a girlfriend or to get the spark back in their relationship if they don't want to use a bad boy approach. If, for example, they've been using a chill approach and it hasn't been working. Right? For a lot of guys, they'll just be chill around women, but they'll be missing the element of being assertive and making a move, and they'll be hoping that women find them attractive because they're so chill and then make moves on them, but that hasn't been working out for them. Because at the end of the day, in almost all cases, a woman still waits for a man to make a move. Right? So how about charming? What's an example of how to be charming? One example is to give a woman a compliment, which for some guys, they may feel like they shouldn't be doing because they may have heard, don't be too nice, don't be a nice guy. Right? And it's true that if a guy is only being nice, then it's going to be a problem for him because women are just going to see him as a nice guy. But if he does it in a sexually attractive way, then it's going to be well received. The woman is going to see him as charming. So for example, imagine that you start interacting with a woman and she's wearing a beautiful dress that's hugging her figure and you find her sexually attractive. You think that she's beautiful. What are you going to say at that point? For most guys, they won't really want to say anything because they've heard don't give women compliments. They're afraid to do that because they don't understand that you can do it in a charming way. But other guys might say things like, oh, that's a nice dress, or, oh, you look nice, sort of thing. And that's not charming. That's not displaying sexually attractive behavior. Displaying sexually attractive behavior is going to be where you're displaying confidence, you have presence, you have some courage, or another way to say it is you have some balls. You are subtly flirting with her. You have a bit of a sexual vibe. All of these things combine to be sexually attractive behavior. Now, that may sound difficult, all those different things that you have to do, but it's not difficult because it happens all at once. It happens simultaneously if you do it right. Right? You don't have to be thinking, all right, display confidence now and add a bit of presence in and show her that I'm courageous or anything like that. Instead, it simply comes across in the way that you're saying it. So, for example, I like your dress. It suits you. You'd have to be the most beautiful woman in here tonight. Versus saying it in a nervous, insecure way, which is not sexually attractive behavior. Oh, I like your dress. It suits you. You have to be the most beautiful woman in here tonight. So it's the same words and the same physical appearance, right? Ugly as always, but it's the same words and the same physical appearance, but there's a completely different dynamic between the man and the woman. With the nervous guy who's insecure and afraid, the woman gets a sense now that he's intimidated by her. He's feeling apologetic about giving her a compliment. He doesn't know if he should be doing that, if that's okay. Additionally, he might be doing it because in his mind, he hopes that if he gives her enough compliments, it might earn him a chance with her. Right? She might give him a chance because he's just being so nice. But it's just not what works. The woman sees him as a nervous, fearful, nice guy who is potentially trying to suck up to her to get a chance. But the same guy with the same physical appearance will be attractive to her and be seen as charming if he's saying it with confidence, if he has some presence, if he has some courage while he's saying it, if he adds in a bit of a subtle sexual vibe, a bit of a flirtatious vibe, And for the guys who don't understand, flirting is where you show sexual interest in a woman, but it's not done in a serious way. It's in a non-serious way, in a playful way. And flirting is how men and women can communicate their sexual interest in each other without being too obvious to the point where they can get rejected, or too obvious to the point where they kill the sexual tension. So, for example, being too obvious would be saying something like, I want to have sex with you. Whereas being charming is saying something like, that dress suits you. Classy, but a bit bold. I like it. Or on a first date, for example, you look amazing in that dress. So I don't know how I'm going to concentrate on the conversation now. And if you say that in a flirtatious way with confidence, then it's a case of you being sexually attractive and treating her nicely at the same time. So she's going to see you as charming. Additionally, if you're using flirting, then it's a subtle understanding between you and her. Right? It's a private understanding now that you find each other sexually attractive. I like your dress. It suits you. You'd have to be the most beautiful woman in here tonight. And then she knows that you find her sexually attractive, but why it's well received is that you're behaving in an attractive way, and therefore the flirting is welcomed because she's feeling attracted to you. Right? With the same words, she will not welcome the flirting or the compliment if it was done in a sexually unattractive way. Right? So for example, if I said, I like your dress. It suits you. You'd have to be the most beautiful woman in here tonight. She's going to see the fear all over his face, as you would have been able to see as well. It's completely different. And she can sense that he feels apologetic about saying it. He's afraid. He's nervous. He's insecure. And he's kind of hoping, in a pretty delusional type of way, that if he gives her that compliment, then she's going to say, oh, wow, thank you. Well, why don't we go back to my place? Or, you know what? I've been looking for a guy like you. Here's my number. Let's go out on a date. He has that delusional hope in his mind that it's going to work for him because, unfortunately, for a lot of guys, they simply don't know how to make women feel attracted. They don't know that you can actually make a woman feel attracted. No one in the media tells men that you can make women feel attracted, right? They glorify celebrities and they say, oh, he's so handsome. Look at his six-pack abs and so forth. And women gush over him because he's a celebrity. And you hear women say things like tall, dark, and handsome. But you don't hear the media saying, oh, by the way, you can say something in a certain way and it turns a woman on. You can display the non-physical traits that attract women and they'll feel attracted to you. Right? For example, with confidence, the opposite is insecurity. And if you display confidence, a woman will naturally feel a spark of attraction for you because of that. Right? It's not the be all and end all. Just be confident and then all the girls just run and jump on you. Instead, if you display confidence, it's one of the non-physical traits that triggers attraction inside of women. But if you display its opposite, which is insecurity, it's one of the non-physical traits that turn women off. Right? That's how attraction works. And with being charming, what a lot of guys get wrong is that they think that if they're just being nice to a woman and they open the door for her, for example, I'm being a gentleman here, then she's going to find me charming and she's going to let me get with her. She's going to give me a chance. But if the woman senses that the guy is doing those sort of things as a strategy to hopefully get with her because he has no idea how to make her feel attracted, and she will know that because she won't be feeling sparks of attraction, then she's not going to see that nice guy behavior or gentlemanly behavior as charming. Instead, she's going to see it as him being confused, as him having no idea how to make women feel attracted, or in some cases, she may get the sense that the guy is trying to sort of sneak his way into getting a chance with her. He's trying to trick her by being as nice as possible to make her think, wow, this guy's really nice, all right? He's being really nice to the point where he pulled out my chair and he opened the door and he gave me a compliment and this and that. Wow, I've really got to get with this guy. But instead, the sense that she gets is that she's not feeling attracted and she's sensing the confusion from him. She'll be able to see it in the subtleties of his body language where, for example, if he gives her a compliment or if he pulls out the chair for her, then he's waiting for some sort of reaction from her, or she senses that he feels pleased with himself, that he's doing it right, he's being a gentleman, and now he's going to get a result. And she's just going to pull the rug out from under him at the end of the date and say, sorry, I just see you as a friend. And he's then going to be thinking, what the heck? You know, I was being really nice to her. I gave her 3 compliments. I opened the freaking door for her and I pulled out a chair. What the heck do women want? right? How nice do you have to be to actually get a chance? This is difficult. He doesn't realize that with his same physical appearance and being at the exact same point that he is at in life in terms of what he has or hasn't achieved, he could be making her feel sexually attracted and turned on by him based on his behavior, by displaying the traits that attract women rather than the opposites that turn women off. But he simply doesn't know that. And he may be, for example, using the nice guy approach or the gentlemanly approach as his strategy. But the woman isn't stupid, right? She knows what's going on. And that's why the nice guy strategy doesn't work for guys, but it doesn't mean that you have to be a bad boy. Essentially, what you need to do if you want women to want you sexually is to display the type of behaviors that trigger sexual attraction inside of women, rather than displaying the type of behaviors that cause women to feel neutral around you. For example, just being a neutral, friendly guy, getting along with her like a friend. And don't display the traits that turn women off, right? The traits that turn women off have opposites, and they are the traits that turn women on. And these are natural traits. It's not a gimmick or a trick or some sort of way that you're manipulating women. Instead, you're either going to be confident or insecure. You're either going to be assertive or passive. The list goes on. There are so many non-physical traits that you can display to make women feel sexually attracted to you, and at the same time, they have their opposites. So if you want to be charming to a woman and have her want you sexually and see you in a sexual way, then behave in a sexually attractive way and treat her nicely. Yet, what about if you want to attract women in other ways? Right? What about if you want to attract women by having what I call untamed energy? Untamed energy is what bad boys have, but they have it in a more reckless type of way. However, what women refer to as a real man, those type of men, they also have untamed energy. And it's not in a reckless way. It's in a much more responsible type of way, a much more mature way. But at the end of the day, the guy hasn't been tamed by what he's heard in the media, by what he's heard women say. He doesn't get tamed by a woman's behavior in the moment. It doesn't make him go into his shell, start to doubt himself, and so on. Instead, he has that untamed energy. And women find it sexually arousing. They are magnetically drawn to men like this. And it's a trait that you can have. You can have untamed energy, but you can also have tamed energy. These are natural traits that are available to you, but the consequences of having tamed energy are that women don't find you attractive. You don't feel good about yourself when you're in a social situation because you go into your shell, you hold back. You're afraid to express who you really are, your true personality, your authentic self. But when you have untamed energy, you feel so good about yourself because you are being real. You're not afraid. And women can sense that. They are magnetically drawn to you because of it. And that's just one of many non-physical traits that you can have as a man that make women respect you and want you sexually and make you feel so much better about yourself. And if you're interested in learning all of the traits that make women feel sexually and romantically attracted to you, then I recommend that you start watching my exclusive lessons at Master Attraction. The guys who've been learning from me at Master Attraction are getting results like this. Right? They know how to make women feel attracted now. So they're kissing women very quickly. They're having sex with women very quickly. They're getting themselves into a position where women are asking to be their girlfriend. They're having women talk about marriage with them after having sex. And they're getting all sorts of amazing results because they know how to make women feel attracted. They're not flying blind anymore where they're hoping that they're going to get lucky and get a chance. The guys who've been learning from me and applying what they've been learning are being seen as attractive and charming by women. They're having women be blown away sexually as well. One of the guys posted about how after watching the lesson on sexual confidence, the way that he's been approaching sex has resulted in women saying that they'd never been touched in that way and never felt that way before because the guy is not displaying sexual insecurity and hesitation and nervousness and being timid. Instead, he has sexual confidence, and that turns women on. These are traits that you can have as a man, and the benefits to you are more than just women. Sure, you get the girls, women feel attracted to you, and they want to stay with you, but you also feel so much better about yourself, and other guys start to respect you more. They start to see your strength. They see you as a guy who isn't doubting himself, a guy that deserves respect. So, if you're interested in learning what the members of my community have been learning, head over to Master Attraction. Otherwise, I'll see you in the next video here on YouTube.